Detroit Lions just surprised everyone with a prediction that's dividing opinion and could completely change the franchise's course in the upcoming NFL draft. Sources connected to ESPN indicate that the team will likely once again adopt a conservative stance in the 2026 draft, something many fans didn't want to hear. The projected pick is Alabama defensive tackle L.T. Overton, a name that brings power and consistency, but also raises questions. Are the Detroit Lions playing it safe when the moment calls for boldness? Before revealing why this decision is generating so much debate within the community, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications because there's a lot of important information about the Detroit Lions' future. ESPN analyst Jordan Reed published his latest 2026 draft simulation and predicted the Lions selecting L.T. Overton with the 20th overall pick. For those who follow General Manager Brad Holmes' work, this projection makes perfect sense. Since trading Matthew Stafford to the Rams, Holmes has adopted a calculated strategy focused on selecting players who fit the team's culture and identity, rather than necessarily the most eye-catching names on the board. This was the case in 2025, when Detroit brought in Tyleik Williams, Tate Ratledge, and Isaac Tesley. 3 safe picks with immediate impact, but no significant risks. And that's exactly what many analysts believe will happen again now. But what makes this pick so controversial is precisely the timing. Detroit is experiencing a real window of opportunity to challenge for the top spot in the NFC, and some argue that continuing to rely on safe picks could limit the roster's growth. L.T. Overton is undoubtedly a talented player. He has a 27.4% pass rush win rate, a figure that places him among the top 30 defenders at the position in the country, and his physical, dominant style at the point of attack fits perfectly into Aaron Glenn's defensive system. However, the question is he the kind of reinforcement who can transform the defense? Overton seems more like a complementary piece, someone to support Aiden Hutchinson and Tyleik Williams, than a true game changer capable of altering the course of a game on his own. And that's where the big debate comes in. The Lions have been suffering from a lack of consistent pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Hutchinson is a monster, but he often seems to be carrying the defense alone. Al-Quadin Mohammed has been a pleasant surprise this season, but the team still needs more strength on the inside. And that's exactly what Brad Holmes seems to be trying to fix with Overton. The Alabama player, in just 6 games, has already racked up 10 solo tackles and 3 sacks, demonstrating an impressive physical presence. His explosiveness and reading of the game make him a logical target, but will it be enough? Fans want to see aggressiveness. They want to see the Lions moving up in the draft, making bold trades and targeting stars, not just consolidating the core. Most interestingly, this choice also reveals a lot about the front office's mindset. Brad Holmes seems more concerned with building a solid, long-lasting defense than looking for quick fixes. He wants consistency, and Overton represents exactly that. A reliable player with a high technical ceiling who can develop alongside young talents like Williams. The ideal scenario for Holmes is to see this duo dominate the interior of the line for years, transforming the Lions front office into one of the most respected in the NFL. But, as every fan knows, playing it safe can be a double-edged sword. The team is close to something big, and many wonder if it's missing the touch of boldness that separates good teams from champions. With so many injuries this season, especially on defense, bolstering the trenches makes sense. But the fans want more than just logic. They want excitement. They want ambition. The Lions are one step away from transforming a promising project into a true powerhouse. And perhaps that's why this simple mock draft has generated so much buzz. It's not just about L.T. Overton. It's about the future of a franchise that's tired of being almost. The upcoming draft could determine whether the Detroit Lions will remain a competitive team or whether they'll finally take the decisive step toward becoming a championship team.
The Detroit Lions have just become the center of attention with a revelation that could completely change the course of their season. NFL sources have confirmed that the front office is evaluating a surprising roster need, and this has caught even the most knowledgeable insiders by surprise. The team, currently enjoying one of the best moments of the Dan Campbell era, may be about to make a decisive move before the league's trade deadline on November 4th. And what's at stake here isn't just any adjustment. It's something that could determine whether the Lions are ready to compete for the Super Bowl or repeat the same mistakes of the past. Before I tell you which position has become an urgent priority within the locker room, like and subscribe to the channel, because what's coming next is breaking news straight from behind the scenes in Allen Park. This just happened and is already dominating conversations among fans and analysts. According to NFL.com's Kevin Patra, the Lions' biggest problem right now is in the secondary, more specifically at cornerback. The loss to the Chiefs exposed something the coaching staff had been trying to hide. The defense simply can't maintain its high level when Terrion Arnold and DJ Reed are out. Injuries have made the defense a real concern, and the Detroit Lions' defensive system has been forced to improvise, with linebackers covering for speedy receivers. The result? A vulnerable defense that gave up important yards in decisive moments and left fans feeling the old ghost of almost there. And the situation worsened even further when Brian Branch, one of the secondary's key players, was suspended for one game after an episode he himself described as childish, shortly after the loss to Kansas City. Branch's absence and Kirby Joseph's physical limitations left the defensive system exposed. Patra emphasized that Detroit needs to act now before the situation gets out of hand. But here comes the dilemma. Injured starters are expected to return in the coming weeks, which puts GM Brad Holmes at a crossroads. Is it worth investing heavily in immediate reinforcements, or trusting that the current roster will recover in time? The Lions have already begun making moves behind the scenes. They signed veterans Trey Flowers and Kendall Fuller to the practice squad, which shows that the front office is on high alert. Furthermore, names like Rock Ya-Sin and Avonte Maddox remain available to bolster the rotation. But even with all these options, the question remains, will it be enough to face elite quarterbacks in January? Because if Detroit wants to reach the Super Bowl, it will need a defense that can handle pressure. And currently, the secondary appears far from that. Meanwhile, another group within the roster is also raising alarm bells, the pass rush. Although Aiden Hutchinson is having a spectacular season, he has been constantly being doubled by opposing offensive lines. The absence of Marcus Davenport, who continues to deal with injuries, has reduced the impact of the front seven. ESPN and other insiders have already indicated that Detroit may return to the market for more defensive line depth. Al-Quadin Muhammad has been fulfilling his role in the rotation well, and the return of Aleem McNeil should strengthen the interior of the line, but they still lack that name that commands respect and divides the attention of opposing defenses. Last year, the arrival of Zadarius Smith brought energy and immediate results, and the expectation is that something similar could happen again. A trade for an impactful defensive end could transform Detroit's defense into one of the most feared in the league. The problem is the cost. Sacrificing future picks or young talent can be a burden, especially for a team still building a solid foundation for the coming years. Still, the timing is clear. The Lions are ready to take a big gamble, and everything indicates that a big decision is approaching. And that's where the suspense comes in. Insiders believe Holmes and Campbell are torn between prioritizing the secondary or strengthening the pass rush. On one hand, the need to contain the passing game, exposed in recent duels. On the other, the constant pressure on the opposing quarterback, essential to making a deep run in January. What's certain is that Detroit won't stand still. Movement is expected in the coming days, and any choice made could be the turning point between a promising campaign and a painful disappointment. The clock is ticking, the deadline is approaching, and the Lions face one of the most critical decisions of the season. Now the question remains, and for you, fan, who should the Detroit Lions sign to strengthen the team? Leave your opinion in the comments. Until the next update.